In the morning mist, Luna was having a strange dream on the deck. In the dream, stories were writhing like living creatures. They parasitized people's hearts and eventually rewrote reality. When she awoke, the ship was approaching Cobalt Harbor. Today is the Memorial Festival, an old sailor told Luna. It's a festival marking 1,000 years since the kingdom began properly managing the map of time. The moment she heard those words, the fragment of the map of time in Luna's chest emitted a sharp pain. As if it were seeking liberation from captivity. The town of Cobalt was enveloped in excitement. Magical fireworks soared even during daylight, and people sang, danced, and celebrated. But Luna felt an inexplicable discomfort in this fervor. Avoiding the festival's excitement, Luna headed towards her destination. The Cobalt Institute, the kingdom's finest botanical research facility. A place for plant research that had taken a different path from magic schools. Once, regardless of magical aptitude, observation and documentation were valued. But in recent years, due to kingdom policies, a hierarchy based on magical power had been introduced here as well. As she passed through the institute's gates, a guard observed her dispassionately. Applicant for admission? When Luna nodded, the guard escorted her to the courtyard. It was crowded with many researchers. First, we'll conduct a magical power measurement. In the center of the courtyard stood a massive blue crystal. A magic measuring device called Cobalt's Tear. Based on their measurements, new entrants were assigned to various departments. And then, it was Luna's turn. When Luna touched the crystal, the meter displayed 0. The chief researcher frowned. All eyes in the vicinity turned towards Luna at once. Curiosity, confusion, and vigilance. Send her to the Garden of Silence. Isn't that place known as the warehouse for useless plants? Luna did not react to the words around her. She simply looked at the map she was given and descended the underground stairs. When she opened the door, a greenhouse-like space spread before her. It was a world completely different from the festive surface above. Welcome, Luna. When she turned around, Professor Hypatia was standing there. A person who once stood on an honorable podium as a distinguished professor. Luna had read her papers and had great interest in them. Professor, why are you in this Garden of Silence? I finally realized that what's important is not the narrative of common sense, but the silence that has yet to be put into words. Several years ago, she had relinquished all titles and positions, and voluntarily requested a transfer to the Garden of Silence. But, I don't have magical power. As Luna began to speak, Hypatia slowly shook her head. Imbalance itself is the seed of talent. Luna stared at her own palm. The whispers of defective still echoed in her ears. Hypatia smiled and placed her hand gently on Luna's shoulder. All the plants here were deemed useless by the world. Do you truly believe that, Luna? Now, let me introduce you to your companions. Thales, the young man said. Water is both the beginning and end of everything. Though its form changes, its essence remains. What do you think, Luna? Luna did not respond to his words verbally, but in her heart, she was ruminating on their resonance. That which is not lost because it changes. It resembled the sensation she had been seeking all along. Euler, he stood before a blackboard, writing equations. This equation represents the harmony of the universe, he continued cheerfully. 1. The entity that can become anything. 0. Both the beginning and the end. Pi, the guardian of circles. E, the sage governing natural growth. I, the mystery of the invisible world. But you know, this way of thinking isn't very welcome. For the kingdom, magic must remain mysterious. If you try to touch the universe through equations, you're treated almost like a traitor. Noel, instead of speaking with his mouth, he spoke through sound. With an old guitar in hand, he expressed the greenhouse plants through melody. He quietly approached Luna and handed her a small piece of paper. Plants each produce their own unique sounds. There was a sense of nostalgia in Noel's words. Thus began the quiet days in the Garden of Silence. Each person faced plants in their own way, never rushing, never denying. One day, Luna paused in a corner of the greenhouse. Thales' words were spreading like ripples in the depths of her heart. Water exists between the end and the beginning. Something within Luna, too, was slowly beginning to move. Nearby, Euler was rapidly writing equations on the blackboard. Beside him, Noel was repeating a small melody as if numbers and sounds were in dialogue. Luna surrendered to the sensation welling up inside her and suddenly spoke. Euler, I feel like this equation resembles a musical chord progression. Look, 1 is the fundamental sound, the tonic. 0 is rest. Pi is repeating refrain. E is sustain, where sound naturally extends. And I is harmonics. We aren't just listening to sounds. We might be searching for the meaning of silence itself. Eula murmured. That's it. If numbers are melody, we've been living in sound all along. And we ourselves are sound. Thales nodded quietly while gazing at the water's surface. Everything flows like water. The end and beginning are always adjacent. Perhaps we are constantly being asked what kind of one we will play. Noel quietly played his guitar. The sound gently swayed, like a seedling sprouting in Luna's heart. Hypatia watched from afar, narrowing her eyes. Outside, the sounds of the festival rang out. Amidst those sounds, a man finished reporting to the king. Well done. Let's begin immediately. The king's voice, too, announced a beginning.